This program contains real and reenacted violent scenes of urban combat. Viewer discretion is advised. They are the 007s of the police world, using strength, smarts, and strategy to one-up the bad guys.
Believe me, those people are gonna die.
They've got more than a few high-tech tools and tactics up their sleeves. They're the ultimate team players whose goal is to negotiate and neutralize.
You want him in his underwear.
How special weapons and tactics reacts to high-risk situations can mean life or death. And every so often, they're forced to face off in shootouts, SWAT style. Berkeley, California. September 27th, 1990. If ever there was a menace among us, it was Mehrdad Dashti. He was a paranoid schizophrenic who carried a deadly arsenal, guns, and a grudge.
Apparently this gentleman had asked a friend, he wanted to go to a bar. He said, would there be a lot of blonde women? He had a real problem, a psychotic problem about blonde women. He went to Henry's pub apparently that night because there was where a lot of college students hung out.
As usual, Henry's in the lobby of the Durant Hotel is packed with Berkeley students. It's just after midnight.
The gunman had come in and positioned himself directly behind me in one of the corners of the room. And he shot into the ceiling, I believe, to get everyone's attention.
Dashti then fires more shots with his Ruger. They wound 6 people and kill a 7th.
The boy that was killed was about 2 feet away from me, laying on the ground, and then I knew that we were in for a pretty serious situation.
Berkeley police, already on patrol in the area, screech to the scene, knowing this is anything but a routine call. They immediately establish an outer perimeter. SWAT forms an inner perimeter. Snipers are positioned across the street. A mobile command post is set up a block north of the bar. The immediate goal? To control the area and make their presence known.
Henry's, has big, huge windows all around the bar, so I could obviously see the lights appearing and the police coming.
Thanks to those windows, SWAT can see in. They're not certain where Dashti is, but they have an idea of where he and his 33 hostages are.
He was positioned on centered in one of the walls, sitting on the floor, and he had barricaded himself with 2 gals, a gal on each side, and he had a clear view of the whole room. He had the room fanned out to where he could see basically everything that was going on in the room.
In the first few minutes, that's all police know. SWAT has a lot to learn, including the layout of the space. When possible, SWAT obtains blueprints or schematic drawings and distributes them to team members. Here's what they need to know. There's a kitchen adjacent to the pub. There are multiple tables around the room. The bar is between the doors. There are 2 of them. The east door opens into the lobby. The bar's north door onto Durant Avenue. Interviews with those who were able to flee help police get a complete picture of what they're up against before they do anything. But that is just part of SWAT's strategy. Their biggest challenge is the mentally ill gunman, Mehrdad Dashti.
The problem was the police got there, of course, they really didn't know what they had. They didn't know why this person was taking hostages and why the shooting started.
And they have to find out. Speaking to the hostage taker as soon as possible is textbook SWAT procedure.
They called into the phone that was in the bar, and it was behind the bar underneath the counter. And I reached back, and I happened to be the one that was standing close to the phone. I think he told me to go pick it up.
Weiner becomes the go-between. This isn't ideal for SWAT's hostage negotiator. He can't get a first-hand sense of Dashti's voice, his personality, or his frame of mind. SWAT has no idea that Dashti is a certified mental case. He hears voices.
The government is experimenting on your mind.
And claims to read thoughts.
I know you hate me because I have blonde hair.
But when Weiner relays Dashti's demands, SWAT knows that he and the situation are unstable.
The two main demands that I was hearing from him is $16 trillion and the police chief of San Francisco coming on television with his pants down.
The negotiator's calls to Weiner continue by the hour.
I found a great deal of relief in talking to him, and he was always very calm. Didn't really give me a lot of information other than the fact that they were working on the situation, which, you know, I was starting to discover that was the purpose of the way that he was negotiating.
What you want to do is you want to find a neutral point where you favor an outcome that is peaceful, yet law enforcement has to win in every one of these situations. They have to win.
And they're willing to wait it out. Patience isn't just a virtue. For SWAT, it's vital.
We never want to rush a situation, and we never want to stop it arbitrarily by saying we want this over by a certain time.
It buys SWAT time. Time to prepare. Time to rehearse what's called an emergency rescue plan. SWAT officers are well-trained and highly skilled. All that practice takes fear out of the equation. But since every situation is different, they have to react and adapt to the moment at hand.
A SWAT officer has to be very deliberate, very careful, very cautious, but also has to be able to think on his or her feet.
And Berkeley SWAT doesn't waste a minute. Some SWAT team members are practicing at a University of California police facility nearby. They duplicate the exact conditions of the bar. A dark maze of a place. Going in with guns blazing is avoided at all costs. Spray and pray, as it's known, is not an effective strategy.
A successful SWAT operation is one where no shots are fired and no one is harmed.
A tactical move is made early in the standoff. It becomes clear that streetlights expose police positions. SWAT command orders them to be disabled. This enrages Dashti, and it may have provoked actions that strike at the heart of his madness. Dashti is an Iranian national who has an unspecified beef with the United States. The blonde women in the bar represent all that he loathes. He sexually humiliates and tortures them. Weiner looks away out of respect, but some of the male hostages are forced to take part by sodomizing the women with objects he brought to the bar.
The thought of dying definitely entered my mind, several times throughout the evening. The mood of the room throughout the evening were a bunch of highs and lows.
Hostages talk to each other now and then until Dashti feels he's losing control. He yells at them periodically. He fires shots in the air and makes patrons scream for their lives. He orders Weiner to tend bar and serve drinks. Adding to the surreal and stressful scene is something else. The TV is on. Dashti is watching live reports about the havoc he's creating.
It was somewhat of a difficult situation, the fact that he wasn't seeing the results in an immediate way that he was expecting to see, and asking me, what's going on here.
Dashti may even have learned about SWAT's movements and positions thanks to local news.
Good morning, everyone. A hostage situation that began around midnight in Berkeley continues at this hour.
When an escaped hostage tells police that Dashti may know what they're doing, they know SWAT has to act. For almost 5 hours, they've been negotiators and neutralizers. Now they become the aggressors.
If someone starts to get hurt, we'll have to do something.
At 5:15 a.m., a scout team is deployed. SWAT's assault plan calls for a 5-officer rescue team and a 2-man diversion team. The diversion team will cause a ruckus in the kitchen, which is south of the bar area. The rescuers will then enter Henry's through the lobby door. The incident commander approves it, but still, he waits to give the green light. He can see that Dashti is expecting an assault. He's lined up hostages in front of the windows.
On my last telephone call with the negotiator, again, I could kind of feel that the situation was coming to a head, and I remember telling the negotiator that, hey, I think we're going to need some help in here.
With daylight approaching, SWAT commits to the last resort, an assault on the bar and Mehrdad Dashti. Who lives and dies will be determined in the next 8 seconds. For 6.5 hours, a psycho named Mehrdad Dashti has held more than 30 hostages at gunpoint in Henry's Bar in Berkeley, California. He's already killed a man and wounded 6 others. Fearing more carnage, SWAT gets ready for a well-rehearsed siege. The team's first priority is to kill Dashti.
If it takes a tactical operation or a sniper to take this person out, that's exactly what we will do. There is no second chance. We're not going to let him go.
SWAT assault team members choose not to wear heavy, hard body armor and helmets. Speed and surprise are keys to their strategy, and that kind of protection slows them down. But it increases the risk. If Dashti shoots them with his machine pistol, that's it.
Assault body armor will not stop an assault rifle. It'll go right through it and kill him. And actually, after you make your plan, your assault plan, then you decide what equipment you need and what you're going to wear.
3 team members carry .45 caliber pistols and have 9mm H&K MP5s. The MP5 submachine gun can fire 800 rounds a minute on fully automatic. But it's usually configured for 3 or 1-shot bursts. As hostage Brent Weiner speaks to the police negotiator for the last time, SWAT officers get ready to pounce. A 2-man diversion team takes positions outside the kitchen, which has doors that lead to the bar. The 5-man rescue team waits on the sidewalk outside. At 7:23 in the morning, they get the go-ahead.
I put the phone down, and probably within 5 seconds, the SWAT team came in.
The 2 officers by the kitchen detonate a couple of flashbangs. These grenade-like devices are part of every SWAT arsenal. Team members are trained not to react to them, but for the unsuspecting, the non-lethal explosives pack a punch. Just one of them can practically scare people to death. With 175 decibels of noise, it's like standing next to the space shuttle on liftoff.
It has a tremendous bang, a deafening bang, and a brilliant flash that'll blind you and deafen you for a few seconds. What happens is your sensory system's overloaded. Usually, maybe 4 or 5 seconds, you're completely confused and disoriented.
During this diversion, SWAT assault officers storm the bar from the lobby and carry out what they had practiced earlier that morning. They move in a conga line, or stack, before splitting into groups of 3 and 2. In this formation, they move in parallel paths through the pub. One of the officers positions himself as cover near the bar. They scream.
A lot of screaming, a lot of panicking, a lot of running for the door.
Doshti reveals his position by standing up and firing a couple of errant shots. SWAT nails him 24 times. The slugs are from 2 of the MP5s. The entire operation takes 8 seconds.
I didn't know that they were going to be coming in. They came in behind me and knew exactly where the target was and shot to kill.
This SWAT action was executed flawlessly. It has been studied as a model of how to get it right. Despite the casualties early on, the only person hit by gunfire during SWAT's assault and rescue is hostage taker Murdad Doshti. He dies on the way to the hospital.
Looking back and seeing what happened and all the information that they had to gather about where he was positioned and everything else, you know, now I realize why they took the time that they did. Looking back, it was done right.
But there's not just one way to handle a potentially deadly situation. Sometimes SWAT just can't wait to take action. Columbus, Ohio, August 16th, 1993. A man bent on killing himself holds a gun to his own head. But in this open environment, he's a danger to everyone. 3 SWAT snipers take their places in elevated concealed positions 75 yards away. Snipers usually have the best view of things. They communicate what they see to other members of the team. Sharpshooters serve dual roles. They provide intelligence and expertise.
The sniper would usually carry a rifle with a scope. You want to be able to do a precise shot. A sniper has to be able to do what you call a cold shot. In other words, a cold shot is you have to be able to hit whatever you're shooting at on the first shot.
When given the high sign, one of the snipers shoots the weapon right out of the gunman's hand. Bingo! The .308 slug shatters the pistol as it screams from the sniper's rifle. It travels faster than the speed of sound, 2,400 feet a second. This precision shot, also known as a surgical, is not standard operating procedure, even for SWAT. But it successfully diffuses a dangerous situation and spares the life of the suspect. It's another example of restraint, which is a hallmark of SWAT training. Honolulu, Hawaii, February 26, 1996. John Miranda walks into his former employer's office with an attitude and a 12-gauge shotgun.
I worked with John on various job sites over a course of a number of years. He was, to me, kind of like really a hot-headed type individual.
Miranda rounds up 5 employees, binds their feet and hands with duct tape, and then freaks out when he hears police sirens outside the building.
Shut up! Keep it down!
He directs his anger toward one of his hostages, the vice president of the company.
He had Guy George stand up and just pointed the shotgun up and down at his head and his whole body and just said,
I'll kill you. No, John, please don't kill me. John.
You know, Guy George was pleading for his life. And
Shut up!
I was right sitting, 3 feet away, and he just shot and blew a big chunk of his leg right off. I thought, oh boy, we're all gonna die here today.
John Miranda has just stormed his former workplace. He casually shoots one of his 5 hostages in the leg with a shotgun. Guy George doesn't die, even though killing everybody is Miranda's goal, which he makes clear in a call to a radio station.
You're not going to do anything weird here, right?
Well, believe me, those people are going to die. I sure ain't going to prison. Brother already missing part of his leg, so I ain't f***ing joking, okay?
It puts the hostages in the worst of all possible positions.
If you're tied up, he's going to kill you. There's not much you can do. But if there's a situation where there's some action you can take and you think your life's about to be ended, yeah, you need to do whatever you have to do.
Do whatever you have to do means one thing for Guy George. With half a leg, he manages to escape, dropping from an office window.
All we try to impart on hostages is to not do something that's high risk, high gain, like attempting to escape when things are going good.
But things were very bad and getting worse for the 4 remaining hostages.
He, in a matter of a few seconds even, directed another hostage to duct tape the shotgun to me. And I think he picked me because he didn't really like me too much.
SWAT contacts Miranda on the phone. He rejects the negotiator's first attempts at talking. Soon, though, he demands and gets cigarettes and water.
Every time I try to say something, you know, like, what are you doing? Don't do this, and things like that. No matter how bad things seem to be right now, they can get better. And he just kept telling me to just shut up, you know. Or else he would blow my head off.
At 9:35 a.m., Miranda appears on the landing of an outdoor stairway. 3 of the hostages make their break by running away. Honolulu SWAT has never been confronted with a situation like this. Neither has Tom McNeil. Special Weapons and Tactics mobilizes.
There's actually a helicopter dropping SWAT team guys on different rooftops around the area. I was surrounded by probably 50 SWAT with huge weapons pointing right at us, and I thought, you know, they were going to take a shot at him, you know, early.
He thought wrong. This part of the standoff lasts for 4 hours. At one point, Miranda asks for and gets more tape to better secure the gun to McNeil. Sharpshooters watch and wait.
This comes often after maybe hours of laying in a spot, not moving. Most times, snipers can't shoot unless they're given the order, unless they see someone is in extreme danger. If they see that the suspect is about ready is getting ready to kill someone, then of course you can shoot. That's a police officer's responsibility, is to save lives.
At 1:30 in the afternoon, Miranda and McNeil move down the stairs. They are just yards from SWAT officers who refuse to shoot. It's not an arbitrary call. It's a strategic decision.
They had shots from rooftops all over the place. They were looking through binoculars and they noticed that they couldn't see if he had the safety on or not. So they weren't about to take a shot and risk him shooting me.
At 2:26, the situation takes another turn. Miranda ups the ante. He tells his hostage he'll pull the trigger when a countdown from 60 reaches 0.
He wants me to do the counting, and I refused. And I just said to myself, you might as well pull the trigger right now and blow my head off, because if you expect me to count down to my own death, you're really wrong. So then he said, I don't even know if I can count backwards from 60.
But Miranda soon starts.
60. 9. Come on, John. Stop the countdown.
There was just complete mayhem at that point. 58.
7. Let's talk about this.
Then the hostage negotiators were doing everything they could to stop that countdown.
6. 5.
The SWAT members were probably 6 to 10 feet away, like so close. So close. And when they would come in a little closer, then he'd get really crazy, or started acting crazy, like thinking he was going to get jumped or something like that, so they'd all back off.
John, stop the countdown.
A desperate negotiator with a bullhorn begs Miranda to give up.
John, you know, stop the countdown. Let's talk about this.
Humanizing the gunman by using his name is a classic negotiating technique.
John, let's stop the countdown.
But negotiations are clearly at the end of the line. Police have $20,000 Miranda demanded. He tells them it's too late and continues his countdown.
I was like, okay, well, I've got 30 seconds till I die, and I have to get the jump on everybody.
There is no doubt Miranda means business.
Then we were at like 16, 15, 14, and at 13, that was the last thing he said, and I had to do something to save my own life.
Brazenly, McNeil twists away from the gun.
I just ducked really hard to my left and then swung around in an instant as fast as I could, and that's when he fired the first shot right through my shirt, and just back of my shirt, just missed my head, and then I grabbed a hold of the shotgun and was still duct taped to it. Once I had a hold of that shotgun, I was just wrestling back and forth like crazy.
Miranda fires again and misses again.
And I was like, somebody, please do something, because I will kill him myself almost. Like, the adrenaline you have going through you is crazy.
But SWAT does the job. They shoot Miranda 4 times in the chest and abdomen. He falls at McNeil's feet. McNeil breaks away and runs for his life. He looks around for the shotgun. He realizes it's still taped to him. Police called the incident one of the most incredible acts they ever witnessed. McNeil saved his own life, but he credits SWAT.
They did everything they were supposed to do. They were trying to talk him out of it. The hostage negotiators were there. The SWAT team was doing their thing. They were ready to go.
For SWAT, not everything goes the way it's supposed to. That was the case during a hostage drama known as the Good Guys incident. It is one of the most studied, dissected, and criticized SWAT actions ever. As shootouts go, it was as ugly as they come. Sacramento, California. April 4th, 1991. 1:30 p.m. A Good Guys electronics store is packed with shoppers who have no idea what's about to unfold.
I was leaving the store, and then my uncle got my head and shoved it down to the ground. He said, "Get down." And I thought he was just joking around. That's when I saw the gunman shooting off rounds and rounds of gunfire in the front of the store.
They are armed with 3 9mm pistols and a 12-gauge shotgun. Sheriff's deputies arrive minutes later. SWAT is on their heels.
When I arrived on scene, there were multiple units, sheriff units, all around the Good Guys store, in the parking lot, on the streets. It was just utter chaos when I arrived.
Good Guys is in a strip center on the south side of town. The 15,000-foot store is on the northeast corner of the busy shopping area. It shares a wall on one side with another business and is fronted by an expansive parking lot. 2 big automatic doors provide access and a view inside. A large concrete pillar stands between them. The 9 SWAT officers dress in Green Army camouflage and bulletproof vests. 7 of them form the entry team. 3 team members carry Sig Sauer P220 pistols. Another, an AR-15 rifle. The 5th is armed with an MP5 with a laser sight. It emits a beam that shows up as a dot on the target, indicating where the round will strike. The 6th and 7th members of the team have sound-suppressed models of the MP5.
With our submachine guns, the penetration of the bullet is much more, so if we had to deal with body armor that the suspects may have, it would penetrate the body armor. Then the officers that had their handguns were able to go hands-free and have to handcuff and deal with the suspects inside.
2 others, the snipers, are ordered to arm themselves with Remington Model 700s and Winchester Model 70s, both in .308. They take prone positions in the parking lot, using cars as cover. 1 is angled to the right of the pillar, 1 to the left. The average sniper engagement is about 60 yards. These 2 are well within that distance. They can see through the store's front doors with their scopes. As law enforcement gets its bearings, 40 terrified hostages try to get theirs.
and you could hear him speaking in a foreign language, and there's multiple conversations being spoken, so I knew right then that there was more than 3.
There are 4 of them.
They just had a very wicked presence. You could feel it. My heart was pumping like really, really fast, and then you could feel it when they'd come close. You just felt real close to death.
No wonder. The suspects, who call themselves the Oriental Boys, are as scary as they come. Their actions are completely senseless.
And these gentlemen were involved in what you call a pseudo-hostage incident. And it was that, in other words, they had no real wrongs they wanted to grieve. They were just simply taking hostages to the point of notoriety.
But they want bulletproof vests, which they demand from a negotiator.
You want him in his underwear?
Okay, I want him a slip, a pant, but the pants and slip is okay.
Well, it's just his regular pants and a shirt, t-shirt.
Regular pants?
Yeah.
Wear underwear, man. No one will laugh at him.
At 2:50 p.m., a police sergeant strips down to his underwear to prove he isn't armed. Nearly naked, he carries a single vest to the front of the store. A woman is sent to get it. SWAT believes this is a gesture of good faith on its part.
I started getting real emotional, and I started getting jumpy, and other hostages were starting to yell and getting real physical too. So what they did was they decided that they were going to tie us up. Now once they tied us up, then that's when it all kind of got out of control.
Early on, it was obvious that at least the majority of the hostages were at the front of the store. They had actually tied them together in groups and lined them up in front of the front doors. Our only guess is that they thought probably that's where we were going to come through, so they wanted the hostages there.
Here's SWAT's actual strategy.
We would send a partial team up around the building to do a reconnaissance of the building, to check to see where all the doors were at, where we could make entry. There was a store that connected to the good guys. It had a common hallway at the back of the store, and we eventually ended up in that common hallway.
They access it through a freight door. The hallway leads to the good guys' storage room. It has a door that leads to the showroom, where the hostages are being held. SWAT opens the door to the storage room and is stopped cold. One of the gunmen yells,
"Hey, stay away from the door!"
SWAT tries a new tack. They push through a panel in the ceiling and use a pole-mounted mirror to get a view of the storage room. The gunmen don't know it, but 7 SWAT entry officers are staring down at them. They see the gunman telling hostages to pile boxes in front of the door. SWAT now knows that the order to stay away was actually directed towards the hostages and not SWAT.
They thought they heard us in the ceiling, they thought we were on the roof, and at no time were we in those positions. But from our position at the back of the store, I don't believe they ever detected us back there.
Still, SWAT needs more information about the movements of the gunman. They drill a hole in the wall and insert a pinhole camera. The device is so small it can be fed through a 2-inch opening. But the layout of the good guys store limits their view. At 5:37 p.m., a hostage and some children are allowed to leave the store. 3 hours later, another hostage is freed. But SWAT knows the situation inside is deteriorating. Fearing for their lives, desperate hostages beg negotiators for 3 more bulletproof vests.
They want you to bring the jackets. That's what their main objective is right now. They won't talk to you. We've asked them 15 times now, and they won't. They won't. So just bring the jackets.
Okay, here's somebody else that wants to talk to you.
Hey, listen, I'm a hostage, and I don't understand nothing. I don't understand nothing to do with the f***ing bullet round. You know what the deal is? Bring the f***ing jackets. You guys have the whole force full of jackets. You've brought 1 jacket. They know that. Just bring the f***ing jackets. Someone's gonna die here because you guys are stupid.
Negotiations are always recorded in every SWAT action. In addition, a designated officer keeps a written record of events and times.
We seek to record everything for the purposes of the prosecution of the case later on. And if they do go bad, they'll see why they went bad.
The gunmen play a deadly game of heads or tails. You win, you live. You lose, we shoot you. A male hostage is the first unlucky player.
Well, at first he was going to shoot him in the head, but then gunman number 1 told gunman number 2, which was his brother, no, just shoot him in the leg and send him out. And then he told us, and we want you to watch this. You're going to watch us shoot him. And then we said, okay. So then on the count of 3, he shot him.
The injured man is forced to crawl outside to show police what happened and to deliver the Oriental boys' crazy demands. They want a long-range helicopter, $1 million in cash, and those bulletproof vests. They also issue a warning.
Let me warn you, any police open one shot, I shoot all the people here.
To make sure that you're doing what we said, we're going to be watching you on the inside on all these TVs to make sure that we hear you telling the media and the negotiators that if you do not bring us our demands, we are going to start killing people.
Moments later, they shoot a second man in the leg. This is the final straw for SWAT.
This makes the police very worried because now you realize that people have a propensity for violence and they will carry it out. And that's when I think they started thinking, well, negotiations are not going to work here. We're going to have to storm it.
2 men have been shot, and lawmen predict even worse. Some of the hostages at the Good Guys electronics store will surely die unless Sacramento County SWAT goes in and saves them. For 2 hours, 7 assault team members have been at the ready in a storeroom at the back of the store. They are listening to what's going on and holding their breath.
We had our radios on with an earpiece on so we could hear information without being broadcast. We all knew what our mission was going to be. We knew what the plan was. We had gone over the plan, and we knew what our roles were. And it was pretty quiet back there since we all knew what we were getting ready to do.
SWAT strategy calls for the team to enter the store from the rear door. The entry is when SWAT is most vulnerable. It's why they call doorways vertical coffins. The aim is to take out 3 gunmen. This would be accomplished after one of the parking lot snipers shoots the 4th at the front of the store. That is the plan. It is initiated as police try to lure one of the gunmen outside with an offer: a second bulletproof vest.
They didn't lay it to the door. They let it close the door. This is to get the person to come outside to get it.
And here's where things begin to unravel. A hostage is sent to retrieve the vest.
They untied my cousin and I, and then they got some speaker wire and they tied her hands behind her back. They let her out the glass door and they told her, you're going to go get this bulletproof vest. And then they had the speaker wire for just in case she didn't do what they said, they were going to pull it back and then they were going to kill us.
What they'd done is taken one of the managers of the store, and he was on his knees at the door, and they had actually told him that if he didn't close the door rapidly after she got out, that they would kill him. So as the door opened, she came out, and the sniper took the shot as the door was being pulled closed by the store manager, actually.
The sniper with the Winchester Model 70 fires the shot. The 168-grain missile is dead on. But the closing door takes the brunt of it. The gunman is grazed, not killed as SWAT intends. This has unexpected and deadly consequences.
He comes back in, he opens fire, he's going down the aisle going, pop, pop, pop.
A sniper's bullet shatters the window of a Good Guys electronics store in Sacramento, California. It triggers a chain reaction of events at 9:51 p.m. on April 4th, 1991. A gunman executes some of the hostages.
He's going down the aisle going, pop, 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 and then he shoots my uncle.
SWAT descends on the scene. A flashbang is detonated near the front entrance. Command gives the order for the assault team to enter the store. It takes them 2 or 3 seconds to get past the boxes that had been piled there earlier in the standoff.
This is what we would call a dynamic entry. Speed, aggression, and surprise is what makes it successful.
The snipers transmit information to the entry team about the suspect's locations. 3 SWAT officers go to the west side of the showroom, 4 to the east. Their aim? To drive a wedge between the suspects and the hostages. Rescuers are aware of shooting at the front of the store, about 100 feet away. But they don't run toward it, they rush in a heel-to-toe technique. It's called the Groucho walk.
Which is very calm, very smooth, and you can shoot while you're moving. And that's how we shoot on the move.
The sound-suppressed submachine guns allow SWAT to shoot without betraying their positions to the gunmen. The device slows down the projectile, but it prevents over-penetration, shooting through a suspect or wall and injuring someone else. SWAT doesn't fire until the teams are halfway up the aisles. They locate their targets and unload. Discharging between 91 and 93 rounds. The suspects shoot back between 14 and 18 times. This is actual audio of the shootout as it happens at 9:51 p.m. Three of the gunmen are killed. The fourth is badly injured. He is wearing a vest. All are hit in the head and chest. 2 of them have bullet wounds in the back.
It was very quiet as far as the hostages go. When I got to where I could see hostages, I saw no movement at all from them. They were all laying on the floor.
I can't even explain how thankful I was to see SWAT come and save me. There's no words. It's just a feeling of relief. Like, it's just unbelievable.
8 hours after it began, the standoff ends. The entire SWAT assault and rescue operation, from the sniper shot to securing the good guy store, takes 78 seconds.
It seemed like a lot longer than that, but it actually happened pretty rapidly.
37 people are rescued, but 3 hostages are killed. 11 are wounded by the gunman. Shattered glass injures several others. This outcome is far from the ideal. One of those who loses his life is Lisa Joseph's uncle, the man who implored negotiators to deliver more vests. Sacramento County SWAT is barraged with criticism.
They weren't the ones that had to make the decision to go in and take life. And we did our best to try to save everybody that we could, and that's our goal all the time.
Unlike TV and like movies, you can't guarantee that everyone's going to come out picture perfect. Everybody's going to come out alive and unharmed. That's not real life.
Sacramento County SWAT team members were awarded the Medal of Valor.
It's putting your own life in jeopardy to save others or to end an incident. It's the highest award that you can get through the department.
The shootout remains ever present for those who were there that day. Reliving the incident long after is a common reaction of hostages and SWAT officers who have been involved in rescues.
It's by far in my 25 years the most dramatic thing that's ever happened in my career or in my life, and it's something that you can't forget. It doesn't just go away.
Special weapons and tactics is a necessary part of every major city's police force and sheriff's department. Speed, surprise, aggression. And most of the time, success. It's a strategic and winning formula for SWAT.